Good afternoon. Hope you're having a great day. Today we heard the sad news that Israel recovered the body of Itay Stavitsky from Gaza, a 38-year-old young man who was visiting his parents in Kibbutz Be'eri, and they were all murdered. His parents were buried back then, and between the two of them is a spot where Itay, whose body was just recovered today, will be buried. Every time we hear this, it's another pain at the heart, nagging at the Jewish people. Have we done enough to bring the hostages home? And to think of so many families that have been killed and murdered. But you know, there's hope, there's faith. And this week's Torah portion, we learn about the journey of Jacob. Jacob leaves his father's home, being chased by his brother who wants to kill him, and he travels to find a wife, to build a family. And, you know, we always wonder, we're called the people of Israel, named after Jacob's new name. He was originally Jacob, and later he becomes Israel. And the question is, why aren't we named after Abraham or after Isaac? And one of the answers, beautifully given by the rabbis, is that Jacob, unlike Abraham and Isaac, grew up in exile, built his family in exile. Think about it. Jacob leaves Israel, leaves the comforts of his parents, running away from his brother. For 22 years, he's away from his father and mother. You would think the darkest times of his life, how painful, how much struggle. He was by an uncle who cheated him. He says himself later that for 22 years I barely slept at night. Yet it's at those moments, in the hardest and the darkest times, that Jacob builds the 12 tribes and builds the most glorious family that eventually is the Jewish people, the 12 tribes of Israel. It's not through Abraham, who has a son Ishmael who leaves him, or through Isaac, who has a son Esau, but only Jacob, who builds the Jewish people in exile. And in a sense, that's why we're called the people of Israel. Because the Jewish people in our story has been one of exile and challenge and struggle. But it's in that struggle, in that darkness, that we're building the greatest people, that we build the Jewish people in our families. And it's in a certain sense a hope for us to be able to continue to persevere in the darkness. You know, Jacob encounters the place. It's dark at night. He's leaving his brother. But he puts the stones around him to protect him. The stones, the rabbis say, represent the spirituality, the faith, which is the bedrock of what it means to be Jewish. And then later God changes his name from Jacob to Israel. The word Israel means li rosh, I am a leader. And what the Torah is telling us, that as Jews, we have to have the confidence, the pride to be leaders, to be able to move forward even in the darkest pain. You know, in Israel, I saw this video yesterday about the yeshiva in Sderot that was up north. And after October 7th, they had to leave hundreds of students and rent a place somewhere else in Israel because they weren't able to be in the yeshiva. It was right near the border. And yesterday, there was a video of them dancing, getting the news that they're able to go back to their yeshiva. Hundreds of students. But what it doesn't say there is that these students, when they left, they gave the yeshiva to the army, for soldiers to sleep there, to live there, to rest when they had a break between going into Lebanon or being on the border. Didn't charge no cost, no electric, no heat, no rent, of course, even though they had to rent another place. And to see them dancing in such joy after the pain of the year, so many of their own brothers and sisters were killed. But yet that's the story of the Jewish people. Yisrael, Li Rosh. We are leaders. And in our darkest times is when we grow the most and become the strongest. And may the soul of Itay Stavitsky and his parents, may God comfort the family. And may they rest in peace and be elevated to the celestial places. And may Hashem give us each simchas and brachas and hope and courage for our people.